It's a clear blue morning of Thursday, 13th day of July 2023. It's good to have you join us on the program Focus. It's a special segment. It's our last outing for the 3 weeks media campaign of Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corporation AKBC on the celebration of the World Public Relations Day, which will take place on Sunday, 16th July 2023. My name is Mercy David. Today we have an important guest in the house who will also interact with us and explain some things in public relations so as to educate and of course inform us. In the house I have a professional broadcaster. She is one who had served as an announcer and presenter in FRCN, later Cross River Radio, and much later Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corporation, where she rose from a presentation officer and producer to director of programs and acting director general in the corporation before she retired in 2015. That means it's homecoming for her. She has been exposed to several media and public relations trainings. Our guest is a member of NIPR, but more importantly, she had served as the Akwa Ibom State Chapter Chairman of NIPR. Our guest today is a consultant in broadcasting and public relations. Join me welcome Mrs. Elsie Udofia, MNIPR. You're welcome to the program, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing me home.
Nice to have you. And so today we want to talk about public relations because we know that you're an expert in that field. It's our third outing and the last one for us to be here on Focus. So you rounding off for us is like someone who has her house being invaded by visitors, and then she wants to like, what really brought you? Let's round off this, and then I sweep my floor. Okay.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. But just a correction: I did not work in Cross River Broadcasting Corporation. I worked in Cross River Television Authority.
Okay. So it's a different name because
Yes.
now we know it as Cross River Broadcasting Corporation. Okay, that was Cross River Television on its own.
Here in the mainland.
Okay. All right, that's good to know. Okay, so how would you explain public relations to someone who is not in the field?
Public relations, I would say, simply is building trust and credibility. I would say that it involves how you see and how you feel a person, a brand, or a company. That is how your thoughts, feelings are drawn towards a particular brand, a particular service or product. I would say that public relations is publicity, is about publicity, not publicity, actually. It involves publicity, it involves marketing, and it has to do with image management. I would say that public relations is sending out the right messages at the right time to the right people. And when you do that, you will be able to build and strengthen brand reputation. According to the Public Relations Society of America, they say that public relations is a process. And I like to quote. They say that public relations is a strategic communication process that builds mutually beneficial relationship between organizations and their publics. So, you have to do it professionally. Professionally, you maintain a favorable and acceptable public image for a company, for an individual, or for a product. That's what I would say for them.
Okay, ma'am, you've mentioned that it's about publicity, advertising, marketing, and all that. So what is main role now in a corporate organization?
I would say key publicity, drawing persons towards the brand. And of course, you can do it through advertising. You can do it through marketing. But public relations majorly is not a paid media issue, just like advertising. But you can deploy advertising in that you can place products in in the media, for instance, AKBC here or any print media, you can place products, bringing your brand visibly towards their publics. And of course, you know that in an organization, the publics are diverse. There are many. It could be internal publics, it could be external public, like stakeholders, like consumers or customers. It could be other stakeholders, so to speak.
Okay, ma'am. Let's come back to the celebration we are talking about. The World Public Relations Day will be celebrated on Sunday, 16th July 2023, with a theme: harnessing the power of public relations. What's the essence? What's the message embedded in this theme?
To harness the power, and that goes to show that there is power in public relations. And if you have something and you do not deploy it, that means you've not utilized what is embedded in it. Public relations, as we indicated earlier, is a strategic communication, and that means you have to plan, and you begin whatever you want to do. You do not just do things haphazardly. It means you have to plan. That means you begin with looking at the situation, researching into what is the issue that I have to handle with regards to public relations. And when you research, that means that you know the problem, you know the situation, and you have to now take action. You plan and take action. When you take the action, it means you are deploying communication, and in that attempt you are building relationship with those publics. And when you finish doing that, you now have to come back and evaluate. So that's the power, and there are so many tools that you have to use. The tools that you use are also the power, part of the power, and the tools will include, for internal publics, maybe like a newsletter. How do you reach? Internal memo. What is the language that you are using? Is your message compelling enough? Are you sure that you know why you are putting forward that communication? Which of these publics am I addressing? So you can engage, you can use newsletters, you can use other public relations tools like sponsorship. For instance, you can make your brand feasible through making that your brand to sponsor a program. You can engage in news conferences. Maybe there are issues that are burning. You decide the best way to go about it is to deploy a news conference, invite some media organizations, brief them as to the situation. And you should not be shy at all in availing yourself for inquiries. You know, there are some public relations practitioners who, when they are approached, they seem to say, for that issue, no comments. But every situation is a time for you to talk about your brand. So you can even use that negative publicity that is going around, you know, to bring up positive issues about your own organization. So you need to harness those powers, the strategies, the tools, and deploy into achieving your aims and objectives.
Okay, ma'am, from what you've explained, it means that the public relations professionals do a lot of researches and then they carry out their work effectively. So what then is the essence of celebrating the public relations globally?
It's a time for networking. When you have a group of people whose interest is in one thing, like professionals, which public relations practitioners are, they are coming from different backgrounds, from different regions. So they would like to come and share ideas as to, this is how it is in my own end. And you know, there are so many burning issues, emerging issues now, especially about the economic situation, about climate, about artificial intelligence. So many people are talking about it. How can you deploy this into public relations? So it's a time to network. Apart from that, is time to draw global attention to the profession of public relations. Yes, it exists. Yes, it is there, because if you do not say you are, nobody will also recognize you. So you bring it to the fore and indicate its relevance to the society. Apart from that, this is a time also, it was actually set aside to celebrate and recognize one of the founding fathers, Ivy Lee, who actually was born on the 16th day of July several decades ago, 1877. So these are the reasons that public relations practitioners must come together. In short, the World PR Day is set aside to not just to recognize but to celebrate the PR, public relations and communications, and help build a unified global agenda towards making the practice of public relations known and utilized better by persons.
Interesting. You have a history in professional broadcasting. At what point did you realize that, look, you needed public relations in the course of your public service delivery?
I must give kudos to one of our staff, a retired staff who rose to the rank of director of marketing, Sir Imeyam. When they came back from Cross River State in 1988, and they were there at 28 Barracks Road, then Wellington Bassey, 28 Wellington Bassey. They used to hold the meeting of Institute of Public Relations there, because the the chairman of the institute in Cross River State happened to have come from mainland part of the state, and he came down with the military administrators, the chief press secretary, and so they were the ones that organized and invited us to join. So that was about 9 years into my career in broadcasting, and I seem to note when I joined that public relations actually has much to also do with broadcasting, because broadcasting deals a lot with publicity. And so I also recognize the fact that I had to deal with a lot of publics in my own broadcasting career. You deal with children, you deal with women, you deal with the educated, the illiterate, and you deal with professionals also. And so in attempting to do my work, I needed to know how to deal with all these publics. I needed to know the language to use with them. I needed to know when to serve them and what they actually needed. So public relations became like it must be part of the work I do.
Okay, ma'am, that's interesting to know. So public relations and the media are sisters. Okay, now you have been the chairman of NIPR in Akwa Ibom State chapter. You must have seen some areas you think haven't really been harnessed well in public relations, especially in Akwa Ibom State. So what are these areas? Is it okay to share with us?
Those that are practicing public relations in Akwa Ibom, I would say they are doing well. But a key thing to public relations is strategic communication. So I think this area, yes, we have people who can write compelling stories about a brand, people who can deploy all the tools, but in deploying, did you research? Did you actually find out these are the needs, these are the concerns? So I think if you are able to do that, if they are able to deploy research, they will be able to respond more responsibly and be a bit more credible in whatever they do. So research, I would say, is part of it.
Okay, you said research is part of it. Okay, if research is part of it, it means there are other parts. So what more can be done to achieve more success in public relations?
Knowledge.
In what way?
To get knowledge, you must read.
Okay.
And so I would like to say read, read, and read. And also using the digital space. It is very key now in public relations. A lot of people leave their messages in the media space or also use influencers. The influencers are those who are interested in your brand, they love your brand, and so they love talking about your brand, writing a lot of things about your brand. And in doing so, they are somehow pushing forward your brand and creating a visibility. So, how are you connected to these influencers in order to shape that their stories are really right of what you want your brand to be perceived as? So, it's very key that you also know the digital space so that even when you drop something by yourself and people are reacting, do you go back? Do you just ignore that, well, I have put up what I'm supposed to put up? Whatever the reaction, that is for them. You have to look at individual comments and also react accordingly so that you are seen to be acting responsibly.
It's been beautiful talking with you. On a final note, ma'am, as public relations practitioners or professionals sharing the different activities marking the World Public Relations Day, which will actually be celebrated on Sunday, the 16th day of July 2023, what should they hold to heart?
I would just like to borrow from the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations and the slogan. The catchphrase is professionalism and excellence. So that's what they have to hold to heart. As I said before, read, 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 and read. They should be proactive. They should develop, undertake self-development, develop their interpersonal skills, which includes communication, verbal, and even written communication. And they should also up their digital media skills. And of course, whatever they want to do, engage the PR tools and deploy strategic communication, which is replan, execute, and evaluate.
All right, thank you very much, madam, for having honored our invitation to be here. It's been encouraging, it's been enlightening talking with you. Dear viewer, we have been talking with a public relations professional. She's a consultant in broadcasting. She's a consultant in public relations. She had been the chairman of Akwa Ibom State chapter of NIPR, that's Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. That's Mrs. Elsie Udofia, MNIPR. Once again, we thank you, ma'am.
So it's Elsie Udofia simply.
No, you're not presenting. I am the one on this side.
No, every time it's Elsie Udofia.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, Mercy. It's been nice being here.
Okay, dear viewer, that is how we round off this segment, this special segment. And I'm sure next week you won't see this face here. It was a special media campaign by Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corporation, AKBC, to join other establishments, other associations, other bodies to celebrate World Public Relations Day. And we had to borrow this time from Focus crew members. I do hope they forgive us, and we thank them very much for their cooperation. If you had joined us from the first outing, please highlight some of the things you have picked from the first, second, and the third, and then send it to the Public Relations Units, Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corporation, AKBC, 3 Dodoma Avenue, Uyo. Something is there for you. The Director General himself will have to hand over a gift to you if you actually give us 3 important points that you have picked from the 3 episodes of this program. We thank every member of this crew. I will not be able to mention them one after another, and also those who have also given us some backups to make this program a success. My name is Mercy David. Stay tuned.
many things you dey do, they remind me, say, you dey answer prayers. You dey answer prayers. You dey answer prayers.